In the first part of this video, we discussed a great deal about how commercial dry dog food is made. How about commercial wet dog food? A large amount of meat goes into making commercial wet dog food. Also, vegetables and some other safe plant residuals are used. There are a couple of machines used in the largely automated process. They include the frozen meat flaker, grinder, mixer and emulsifier, vacuum filler, forming machine, steam cooker, cutting machine, and a few others. As with commercial dry food production, wet meals maximize the assembly line to a large extent. So, what are the various stages that play out? 1. Purchasing the raw materials. Before the canned wet food ends up on the shelf, a huge chunk of raw materials goes through various stages. The quality of any commercial wet food product is largely dependent on the raw materials used. These ingredients include meat, fish, vegetables, and fruits. 2. Pre-processing stage. Some manufacturers send some of the raw materials for pre-processing. Some smaller companies carry out this operation. However, this is optional as lots of companies have designated sections that handle this operation. The meat, fish, vegetables, and fruits are pre-processed for the eventual grinding, mixing, steaming, and other processes. At the pre-processing stage, the meat is deboned by a machine. This implies that a large amount of the bones are removed mechanically. Among other reasons, this aids the mixture of all ingredients subsequently. In this phase, the meat is frozen. This is majorly to avoid contamination. Furthermore, the bones and excessive oil content of the fish are removed. Also, the vegetables are chopped into the appropriate size. The uniformity of the chopped fruits and vegetables is only guaranteed by automated machines. As a result, these companies invest heavily in heavy-duty machines capable of giving that touch of perfection. The procedure also requires the services of experienced animal nutritionists. To a large extent, the fate of the final product is dependent on this process. 3. Frozen meat flaker phase. After the pre-processing stage, the pre-processed raw materials go through some production stage. The frozen meat flaker phase is first. This stage is carried out on a large machine. The equipment is responsible for breaking down large blocks of frozen meat into pieces. The frozen meat flaker does this in several turns, depending on its ability. The large-sized frozen meat is fitted into a tray. Some of these trays have levers that are operated automatically. The operator engages the right buttons that enable the tray to turn, throwing the meat into the main part of the equipment. In some other type of meat flaker, the meat is put on a rolling platform rather than a tray. The large meat rolls into the sharp and thick blades of the flaker. In no time, the once compressed meat is down in small pieces. The size and time taken are dependent on the grade and type of meat flaker. The process continues until all the frozen meats are cut into small sizes. The same process applies to frozen fish. However, they are cut with lesser intensity as adjusted by the operator. 4. Bowl cutter phase. Next in line is the use of the bowl cutter. Before then, factory workers may have to separate some parts of the previously cut meat. For instance, the thigh may be separated from the skin component. This is because the processing of these varying parts requires different conditions. This is so that the bowl cutter will work on similar patterned parts of the meat. As with the flaker, this machine cuts the meat and fish into mince-sized shapes at the very least. At the extreme, it is rendered moist and a little sticky. This is as a result of the high-quality metal blades, designed for this purpose. 5. Mixer and emulsifier phase. After the bowl cutter experience, the meat and fish must have gone through a great deal of cutting and grinding. In turn, the meat is less solid than in its first state. At this point, other ingredients are added to the minced or mushy meat and fish. The other ingredients are added in a machine called a mixer or emulsifier. This machine blends the entire mixture into a very moist, slippery, and mushy state. 6. Screw feeding phase. The pappy mixture is in turn fed from the mixer and emulsifier into the screw feeding machine. This machine quickly does two major things. First, it renders the content into a much finer paste. Secondly, it sends the paste vertically into the next phase of the production. With the aid of a pipe, it sends up a defined amount of smooth pasty feed mixture into the vacuum filler and forming machine. 7. Vacuum filler and forming phase. From the screw feeding machine, the paste is passed onto the vacuum filler. At this point, the machine begins to form the item with the desired coating and designated temperature. This is done before the steaming and varying level of cooking. 8. Cooking and cutting phase. With the designated amount of water, the machine cooks the formed item under moderated degrees. This process is well observed as the product must retain and not exceed a certain amount of moisture. This measurement must be even across all similar products. Next in line, the cooked substance is cut into equal sizes by a cutting machine. The cut substance is slid off to a large body of water. This is to cool off the substance to a reasonable extent. If this is not done, the heat of the substance will make the outcome susceptible to mold. This also ensures the product has a long shelf life. 9. The autoclave phase. At the point, the packaging is beginning to take its course. Most commercial wet dog foods are packaged in sealed cans. Without sterilization, tin cans have properties that make them susceptible to bacteria and other unsafe organisms. To avoid this possibility, the cans are sent into a machine called an autoclave. At the autoclave, the cans are exposed to a high degree of heat for a lengthy period. Precisely, for about 3 to 4 hours, the cans are exposed to 120 degrees of heat. This ensures the products are stored up in high-quality can, free from harmful organisms. Afterward, the tins are placed in rollers that position them strategically to be filled with wet food. The process is mostly automated and inch-perfect most times. This is considering how the same amount of product and moisture is released into each can. Furthermore, another attached machine handles the imprinting of the brand's design and inscriptions. A lot of evaluation and quality control assessment is expected to go into various stages. Generally, as regards the subject of dog food, some things are avoided. This is considering the nutritional peculiarities of dogs. For example, dogs are unable to digest large amounts of sodium properly. Bearing this in mind, animal nutritionists at these factories ensure that little or no amount of salt is added to the product's ingredients. Are there any other alternatives for packaging commercial wet dog food? As so many dog parents can tell, a large portion of wet dog food is packaged in lid-sealed cans. However, there are other options seldom applied by manufacturers. The packaging options for wet food is extended to pouches and trays. What should you look out for in buying the right commercial canine food? Undoubtedly, the quality of the product you buy for your dog is very important. You should look out for certain things before you purchase any processed food for your dog. Let us go over some of these things. 1. Manufacturer's track record. Before you purchase any dog food product, you may want to check out the history of the company. Some dog food manufacturers have a consistent history of having product recalls. You should not trust such companies with meeting your canine's nutritional demands. 2. Stay away from preservative. Preservatives contain synthetic properties unsafe for your dog. Although they ensure the shelf life of the product, they have adverse effects on your dog. As a result, you should steer clear of such products. These are very common with commercial treats, as well as other kinds of commercial products. 3. Check out for the expiry date. Some products declare the use of organic ingredients in their processing. Ironically, these products have a very long shelf life. We recommend that you steer clear of such products. Organic ingredients would not have exceptional shelf life without the aid of synthetic additions. In that regard, choose organic inclined products that have a shorter shelf life. 4. Baked over conventional kibble. Kibbles form a large proportion of dog meals purchased. The trendy baked kibbles offer more in terms of nutrients. Considering the extrusion process that the conventional kibble undergoes, a lot of nutrients are lost in the process. To make up for this, some of these nutrients are spread back into the product. On the other hand, the baked variety of kibble allows the ingredients to keep more nutrients. In light of this, we recommend that you opt for baked kibbles. Conclusively, the constituents in the regular commercially made dog food are important to the average dog parent. Over the years, the average dog parent has become more aware of the nutritional demands of his/her dog. Therefore, they buy products that meet these dietary requirements. Particularly, we explained the entire production stages of both the commercial dry and wet food. You should ensure that any commercial product purchased for your dog is appropriate. If you've enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you'll know once we post a new video. Also, drop a comment below so we can know your thoughts. Finally, don't forget to check the description below for more details and visit our site www.zimdogfood.com for more awesome dog food content like this.